Hi, welcome back to the training for Option IQ. We're going to now jump into the Option IQ Sells Options section. So up till now, I've kind of built a little bit of a framework in your mind as to what Option IQ does and what the software is going to essentially recommend to you each day. So now that you kind of understand the structure, what I want to talk about now is what we're actually doing as far as trading goes. This is an option trading program, thus the name Option IQ. And so we are going to be selling options. We're also going to be buying options to protect the ones we've sold. So we're going to get into that a little more in detail during this part of the class. So let me jump right in. Okay, so on the next slide it says why we sell options. So what I want to start out with is kind of explaining why Option IQ believes that selling options is the right way to go with option trading, specifically with the strategies that we're using. So first and foremost, when it comes to why we sell options, it really comes down to we don't have to pick the market direction. As I said earlier in the very first part of class today, I talked about actually going out and learning how to be a directional trader. And I explained that directional trading can be hard at first because there's a lot of stuff that you have to learn. There's a lot of barriers you've got to get over to really understand what you're doing. The problem with directional trading is you have to be right. If you pick the direction and the market goes the other way, or if you pick a direction and the market goes the other way, you're going to lose. So one thing that we love about selling options in the way that we're teaching you, in the style of what I've shown you already, is that we don't have to pick the market's direction. And wow, isn't that a breath of fresh air? I don't have to have the market go up or go down in order for me to make money on the trade. In fact, I want and encourage the market to go up and down. As long as it stays within that big range that we've given in our boundaries, as long as it stays between that, then we're happy. So again, we don't have to pick market direction. Okay, so this explains further the point that I was trying to make. It says we don't buy options. It says option buyers have to guess all of the following things correctly in order to consistently profit from buying options. And I would say the same is true if you're buying stocks. So anytime you're picking direction, so you're either using an option, trying to say, hey, I think the market's going to go up or I think it's going to go down, and so I'm either going to buy this option or I'm going to buy that option. When you start doing that, you're setting yourself up for a difficult time, and here's why. If you're going to consistently profit from directional trading or buying options, which is also a way of directionally trading, you have to guess the following three things correctly. You have to guess the direction correctly. You also have to guess what I call the magnitude correctly. What's magnitude? Magnitude is it's got to move enough. So the magnitude is, did it move this much or did it move this much? That's the magnitude of the move. So you have to get that right as well. For example, if you say, well, I think it's going to go up, and so you enter a trade based on that information, well, it's got to go up, but it's got to go up enough depending on where you've entered your trade. So again, you've got to guess the magnitude correctly as well. And last but definitely not least is timing. So you could get the direction right, you could have the magnitude right, but if everything doesn't happen within that time period that you have with your trade, you're going to lose. So when it comes to buying options, we avoid buying options because of these three things. If I miss one of those three things, I'm going to lose on the trade. So I have to get all three things correctly in order to make money on the trade. So here's what we've done. We've said, let's just do the exact opposite of what the buyers are doing. They're buying, saying, I think it's going to go up or I think it's going to go down. We're like, let's just take the exact opposite of what they're doing. They're going to be wrong a high percentage of the time because they're not going to guess the direction and the magnitude and the timing correctly consistently month after month. It's just not going to happen. So if we take the opposite of what they're doing and instead sell options, guess what? We have a greater chance of being right a high percentage of the time just by being option sellers as opposed to option buyers. So again, that's kind of our argument as to why we don't buy options. The other reason why we sell options is because of our proprietary P factor. If we didn't have that proprietary technology that we developed within this software, and again, it's a formula which I'll get into next, but if we hadn't developed that proprietary technology that tells us where to put our boundaries, then we wouldn't be selling options. So that's kind of what gives us that opportunity to exploit this type of a strategy, is because of that technology that we have. So what is that technology? Again, the probability factor. You'll also hear us refer to it as the P factor. It actually determines the level where we get into the trade. It also determines the level where we get out of the trade because of the risk, as we talked about earlier. It's mechanical. It is non-subjective. You don't have somebody's opinion being thrown into this. It's essentially a mechanical formula that we've created or developed, an algorithm, so to speak. And what it does is it has a dynamic combination of other popular indicators that you've heard about that are all combined and essentially spit out one number known as a probability factor. So you get a probability factor for the top part of the trade daily and a probability factor for the bottom part of your trade each and every day. So here's how it works. At the end of the trading day, as soon as the market shuts down for a few minutes before the futures market reopens, which is what we're trading, as soon as it reopens, we've already gone in and crunched all the numbers, and we now have the new probability factors showing for the trade. So each and every day, this mechanical formula is being run, and it's spitting out those probability factors for your trades. Another reason why we sell options, probably a really big reason why we sell options, is because time is your friend. When you're selling an option, you're basically selling something out into the market for a certain amount of value, and you're hoping that as soon as you sell it, the value of that option starts to go away. And the thing that makes that value go away is time. So as time ticks by each and every day, what we're hoping is that the value of that option is actually decreasing in value. It's wasting away. It's kind of like a wasting asset. As it wastes away, because I sold it for, let's say, $100, it's now wasted away and it's only worth $40. I've actually realized $60 worth of that profit because it's wasted away in value. So again, we sell it out into the market, and once we've sold it and we've taken in that money, we want that value to start decreasing. Again, time is what's going to do that. Now, I have a chart here that I want everybody to look at for a moment, known as the theta curve. And the theta curve is essentially a chart that kind of references that time decay, or that the value actually wasting away over time. You'll notice here, this chart, this left side of the chart represents value. So the higher you go on the left side here, the more value you're actually getting paid when you sell your option. Down at the bottom, you have days until the trade ends. So over here on the left, the further left I go, the higher it is. So 120 days going all the way down to the last day of the trade, known as expiration, which is day 0. Okay, so what I want to show you is if I were to sell an option at 120 days before the expiration day, I'm going to get a large amount of option value, okay, based on where this arrow is pointing. However, you'll notice that between the day I set it here at 120 days, that's the day I sell the option, the amount of money I get paid is going to go down in value. In other words, I make it here and the value of the option starts to waste away or decay down to 90 days. However, if you look at that, I want you to look at the line and look at the angle of that line. The value is not decaying very rapidly. So even though the value of the option that I sold is going down somewhat, it's not going down very quickly. It's still maintaining a large amount of value down at 90 days. So the point being is there's not a huge benefit to selling an option clear out here at 120 days, because if I were to get out in 30 days, the amount of value or the amount of decay or the amount of wasting or decrease, I guess is a better way to put it, the amount of decrease in the value has not been significant enough to really get me excited about the trade. If I then look at the 90 days and see what happens between 90 days and the next 30, you'll notice I'm getting a little less value when I get in, but the steepness of the line starting to increase. I'm actually having a decrease, more of a decrease in value. So even though I sold the option here, I'm actually probably making a little bit more money on that option in this 30-day period compared to the 120 down to 90-day period. Now, you'll notice that once you get to about 60 days, everything starts to change. The angle of the line, the degree of how quickly it starts to move actually starts to pick up. You'll notice between 60 and 30 days, the decay is much, much greater than it was between 60 and 90 days versus 90 and 120 days. And then lastly, you'll notice that the degree of the slope just drops off a cliff starting at 30 days down to 0. So you'll notice that between 30 days and 0 days has the most rapid decrease of value on this chart. That's where you're going to stand to make the most amount of money on your option if you sell it at 30 days and then write it down to 0. That's where the greatest amount of money could be made on the option if you're selling. So with this information, with this chart, time is my friend, but I've got to get in for the right period of time. If I get in too early, time might not be my friend if I'm only in for 30 days. So if I know the right time to get in, where I'm going to make the most bang for my buck, then I'm going to be able to enter the trade at the appropriate time. One last thing I want to show here on this slide, and that is that if I go out to 60 days, I'm still getting a pretty good, there's still a pretty good move there. It says here greater still. So really, here at Option IQ, what we have told the members, the ones that are using our software, is if you're going to enter these trades, we recommend entering these trades with at least 30 days left, okay? So you're never going to get into a trade that only has 10 days left because guess what? Most of the value is already gone. So you're going to get into a trade that has at least 30 days left and no more than 75. So we will let you go out up this curve a little bit, but only out to 75 days. We're not going to let you go any further than that. That's where you're going to see a significant amount of time decay is between that 75 and 0 day. And so that's where we're going to recommend you enter your trade so that time really is your friend on these positions. All right, next, number 4 says non-correlated strategy. That's one of the reasons why we sell options. Well, what does non-correlated strategy mean? I've got kind of a little image here to kind of explain the idea behind non-correlated. So when the stock market goes up, whatever our product does in relationship to that would create some type of a correlation. But here's the deal. When the stock market goes up or the stock market goes down, it has no correlation with our strategies. In other words, the market could go up, 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 and up and still never hit any of our top boundaries, or it could go down, down, down and still never hit any of our bottom boundaries. So our product, our software and the trades that it's recommending, the strategy behind it is non-correlated with the stock market. It doesn't matter if the market's going up or the market's going down. In fact, as I said earlier, you can still trade this if the market's going up or the market's going down. It can still be applied to that type of a market environment. So again, this is non-correlated to the current market. And the reason why I even bring that up is because this is a great way to hedge your portfolio. If you're going to hedge a portfolio, you don't put all the portfolio into something that is exposed to the same types of risk. You put it into something that's non-correlated, and you build a portfolio that is, just because one area or one investment's not doing well doesn't mean the other investments can't be doing well. So that's why it's important to have non-correlated types of investment in your total portfolio.